Welcome back to Erin Makes Designs, where today I'm going to show you how to embroider this sweet little smiley face on your knitted work. Let's get going. Now we're going to do the embroidery for our face. Get yourself your DK. I like to use a cotton because it doesn't leave behind any little bits of yarn on my work, which, especially when you are using black yarn onto a light colored project, it will stand out. I have enough here for embroidering both the eyes and the mouth. Now, before we get going, I like to mark off where my eyes are going to be, because it will be the eyes that I embroider first. So I will use the pins to mark off the eyes, and then after I've done the eyes, I will mark off using the pins again where I am going to put the mouth. So this looks like the center of my front, this column of stitches here, and I want my eyes to be on either side of that column. You can see here on this original one, I have them separated by 2 rows of stitches, and I'm going to do the same. So if this is my center row, I'm just going to mark it right now quickly with a pin so I don't lose track of it. And I'm going to take another pin, and I don't like to have my face up at the top of the project. I like it to be a little bit further down, but it's up to you where you decide to put yours. And again, you can put your eyes closer set together if you like. So here is my center column of stitches, and I'm going to move over 1, 2 full columns. I'll bring this close so you can see. Here is my center column of stitches, and I'm coming over 1, 2, and next to it is where I'm going to pop in next to this one here. This is where my eye is going to be. So here's the first column, and you can tell that you're counting what columns you're working with, is that your stitches are all pointing in the same direction. So I'm going by this column here, and my V's are formed like this. The legs are together at the bottom of each stitch. And so I've come over 1, 2 columns, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Put the push pin. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, and I want to make sure that I have my pins in the same row of stitches. So the difference between rows and columns is that when you have a row, all of your stitches are beside each other. When you have a column, your stitches are on top of each other. Okay, right. I've marked off where my eyes are going to be. I'm going to start at the back of my lemon, and I'm going to bring my needle through beside, just on the outside of the stitch I've marked. What I want to do is to make sure I'm leaving a tail long enough that I can tie off at the end. And then all I'm going to do is to wrap my yarn around and around and around this stitch. I'll take that pin out. Okay. Just go over to the other side. And again, I am working through both layers of the knitting. And you want to be coming in and out the same hole each time so that you can create a nice round shape to your eye. What you don't want to do is to pull this too tight, because what will happen is it will squeeze in the stitches and it will make it look like you have little holes. Just won't look very neat. So again, I'm just going to go into the same spot I did on the other side, wrap it back around. So now I have 2 loops that form my eye. Okay. At this point, my yarn is over here. If I bring it around and wrap in this direction, I'll get a nice curve shape to the bottom of the eye. So that's what I'm going to do. So go back in the same hole and out the same hole on the other side and wrap around. Give it a little pull. And you can begin to see that the eye is taking shape. Now I'm going to do one more loop. So I just have 4 loops to my eye. And instead of coming back out over on this side of the eye, I'm going to come back out over here on the other side of the face to create the second eye. Try not to split your yarn. Okay. And I'll make sure that that one loops around the top of the stitches. And again, don't pull them too tight. If you have, that's okay. You haven't tied anything off. You can use your needle to puff them out a bit so you can get a nice round shape to your eye. And just like I said with the mattress stitch, if you're not happy, you can just pull it out. We haven't tied anything off. You can try again. Now I'm off on the other side. I'm going to take that pin out. And just like I did with the first side, I am going to loop it around. This time I'm only going to loop it 3 times, because once I've done the 3rd loop, I want to pause and put the pins in for the mouth. Okay, again, going in and out the same hole. There we go. So that's 2 loops. Again, I find myself, the yarn looks like it's at the top, so I'm going to loop it around here to get a nice curve. And out the other side. There. And again, same thing. If you pull it's a bit tight, use your needle to loosen it up. Now I have done 3 loops to my eye. What I want to do is to pause here, and I want to pin where my mouth is going to be. So I have a pin, and I'm going to find the corner of my eye, and I like for my mouth to be nice and close to my eyes. I think it makes a cute face. So I'm just going to put a pin in there, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just putting a pin in to the stitch that's just below the corner of each eye. And then I pop this center one out. I don't need that anymore. I'm going to put a final little pin down into the stitch below. So we just have a sweet little V to our mouth. And because we are using the same thread, the same yarn, that's why we paused and put our pins in. And so I'm just going to do my final loop on the eye, but instead of coming out over here on the side, I'm going to come out down just underneath where I have marked out the corner of the mouth. See that? And make sure that loop has come out the way I like. Perfect. Pop that pin out. I'm going to now come down to the pin where the bottom of my mouth is. Bring my needle in. Take that pin out. And I'm going to bring my needle out to at the other corner. And to finish off my mouth, I'm just going to come right back down, and this is where you need to be careful so that you don't get an uneven looking mouth, and bring it back in the same hole at the center. And I'm going to bring my needle out to meet this tail at the back so I can tie off. There we go. Pull that through. And this is the point where, before I tie my tails together and hide that yarn, this is where I want to make sure that I'm happy with the face, that my eyes have got a nice round shape to them. This is where you can use your needle to loosen up your threads if you've pulled them too tight. I'm really happy. I think that face is quite cute. Come to the other side and tie my tails. Now don't tie them too tight. If you do, you are going to pull your embroidery on the front. Look at that, there's a little bit of the black yarn after I said it doesn't leave any. Okay. There we go, nice tight knot. Now, if I were to thread this onto my darning needle, I wouldn't be able to get the end of the needle back into the work because this tail's too short. So here's a little trick that I do. I take the needle, I put it into the work, and then I thread my yarn back on and pull them out to hide it. I'm going to pull that nice and tight. Oh, the knots come through, so don't cut your knot. And just give that, cut the ends, and then pull the knitting upwards so that you can't even see that you had a knot at the back of your work. We go to the front and just tidy up the embroidery, tidy up the mouth, tidy up the eyes. There we go. And there's our lemon. If you'd like to make yourself a positive lemon or just a little play food lemon like this, then you can find the entire tutorial here. Thanks for coming out to Erin Makes Designs. Enjoy!